I'll never forget her words. She said it sounded like a kettle that is boiling. But it wasn't a kettle. It was tons of mud and sludge that was hurtling towards the people. She said that now every time she hears a kettle boil, it brings back the painful memories of that day.
Ke simolotse go dula ko Jackasfontein ke na le mengwaga e metlhano fela. Moepo ke ona fela mmereko tota mo. Ntlo e ke dulang mo go yona gona jaanong ga se yame. Ke ne ke na le ntlo eo e le ke dulang mo go yona. Letamo le le la seretse re bone lepota la lona le tlhatlogela kwa godimo ha mengwaga di ntse di tsamaya. Re ntse re ipotsa ka borona gore go ka diragala eng ha le ka phunyega. Mme re ile ra le tlwaela go fitlhela tsatsi le le la tshipi.
A disaster is normally something that is so far from one's mind, especially when everyone's focused on new beginnings and new opportunities. I decided to study disaster management because I've always had the desire to help, to make a difference at a time when people need it most. Well, when a disaster occurs, there's always the human aspect, and then we must not forget about the environment. So much can be destroyed in just one day.
Droogte. Droogte is seker die grootste risiko vir boerdery in ons omgewing. Sonder water is dit net onmoontlik om 'n lewe te maak. Ja, ons is nou die 5de generasie lous hierso, as ek dit reg het, en dan ons grootste bekommernis hier is maar veldbrande, droogtes en die armoede en werkloosheid het eintlik nou die laaste 3 jaar al 'n groter impak op ons boerderye gehad. Boerdery is maar tot 'n groot mate die kuns om al hierdie risiko's te balanseer en om voorberei daarvoor te probeer wees. Maar daar is sekere dinge wat jy nooit sien kom nie.
Ke ne ke robetse ha go ne go diragala.
Joe!
Re ne re kgona go utlwa modumo wa teng e ka re metsi a belang.
My dam is nog vol.
Ke ha seretse se ntsaya le ngwanaka wa ngwanyana. That day I was telling myself I'm going to die with my daughter. We were holding a pole that we mustn't go with the mud. And then a big tree come on top of us. We just stuck for the hands, but we still holding that pole. But after the mud is not strong again, we get up. At that time I wasn't even worried about the house because it was full of mud, and then the doors were pieces. The other things was out with the mud. The other things were broken. The ceiling fall. I was just fighting for my life. It broke my heart, but I was telling myself, as long I live. Tsatsi le lengwe botshelo jwa gagwe bo siame, le lengwe latelang ga ona sepe, tsotlhe di ile.
Clothes. Most of the people were affected by this disaster as mud was flowing into the households. Furniture, wardrobes, all of those things were covered in mud. So the most immediate need was clothes, sanitary wear, food, as well as other amenities that people use on a day-to-day basis. So the university decided to put out a call. They requested for donations from students. The response was quite massive, and the students and the academic community responded very well. We also realized we needed to get physically involved. I was part of a large group of student volunteers that went to Fontein and helped with the mopping up. There were psychology students assisting with counseling and social work students determining the needs and connecting victims to social services and other government departments. Even though it was just one day, I felt that my presence and that of other students and other academic staff in Fontein made an impact. Because at some point, people need people to talk to. We were that listening ear at that point of need. The other part was, of course, the environment, where there were still so many questions that needed answering.
Wat gaan die effek wees op ons water? Net na die damwal gebreek het ons 'n kans gehad om met 'n helikopter oor die area te vlieg. Dit was onwerklik. Sluk en modder het die hele area bedek. Al daai gemor het opgeëindig in die rivierstelsel en van daar af was dit 'n nouer pad van vernietiging vir baie kilometers stroom af. As gevolg van die digtheid van die modder het jy jou hele rivier se lewe eintlik verloor in 'n halfuur, ja. Van die boere het vee verloor, ander infrastruktuur. Die mynmense self en ons as boere het vinnig besef, ons gaan nie sonder akademie en wetenskaplikes die antwoorde kry nie, want ons weet nie, ons kan sien wat bo aangaan, maar dieper liggend jou water, jou dierelewe, jou veldlewe wat jou veld terugsit in die grond. En ek dink daar gaan baie geleer word uit hierdie ramp uit in die wêreld. Goeie wat mense vorentoe kan vat as dit weer gebeur. Ja. Dit het een dag gevat om dit wat oor generasies opgebou is te verander. Een dag om in die Fekos lewens te verander. Met 'n impak wat waarskynlik nog vir baie jare gevoel gaan word.
More or less a few thousand, I would say. I've taken about a few thousand water and soil samples in my life. The reason biogeochemistry attracted me, it's about finding solutions for various things. Solutions that are locked up in our natural resources. There's a ripple effect. Once the sustainable use of ground and water can be established, it can lead to so many other benefits. I believe in taking one's knowledge and skills to those communities that need it. The first day I went to Jagersfontein was about a week after the tragedy. There were obvious concerns about the water quality, about widespread pollution, and about the town's water treatment works that were flooded. When we drove into town, I felt a sense of gratitude for the simple fact that I was there and that I was able to offer my help. We undertook emergency environmental and health sampling and analysis. The scientific data derived from our water, sludge and soil samples could help authorities to make well-informed decisions about the way forward. Ultimately, our role as scientists, together with a team of collaborators, was to instill a sense of responsibility and ownership towards the environment. It was one big concerted effort to rebuild what was lost in that one day. In the end, my one day in Jagersfontein turned into many days. We could bring much needed reassurance to farmers that there was no toxicity endangering their livelihoods. We could advise and inform, and we could guide the rehabilitation process. One of our main collaborators was nature. So fortunately, a few weeks after the disaster occurred, there was lots of rain, persistent rain and hard rain that was needed to wash away the mud from the trees and the riverbanks. This spot in particular is quite special to me. It looked like a grey moon landscape when we first got here. 18 months later, it has returned to something beautiful. It's so heartening to realize that the environment can be rehabilitated. Nature bounces back and we can assist in this beautiful process. The same resilience is in people, although people sometimes take longer to heal.
Ke na le dikgwedi ke sa ye ko ntlong ya me ya kgale. Ga ke na matla a go e bona. But one day was one day. I look myself in the mirror, say, Susan, go forward. One day, students come here and ask me my question. I get that hope because I was hearing when they speak. I get that hope of everything will be all right. Ga ise ke utlwe sentle gonne ke tlhoka motho o tla buang le nna gape, mme ke a tokafala. Dintlo di agiwe gape bontšha. Gongwe le nna nka le leng la matsatsi ya me e tla nna e nngwe ya tsona.
In 2022, I was a third-year social work student at the University of the Free State, and I was among the group of students who went through to Jagersfontein to help the people that were affected by the mudslide. We basically got to sort of interview the people on what they needed, what they lacked, and all of that stuff. So what we did on the day is that we helped people get important documents like their birth certificates, their IDs, which they lost during the mudslide. Every time I hear a kettle boil, I remember the woman I met there. And now, it also reminds me of the mud that can come on a day that you least expected. It is something that we now share. I live in a mining area too, so a similar disaster can also easily happen here. And when it does, you need people that will not only speak to the media and say, oh, we are with the people of Jagersfontein, we are praying for them, but you need people that would actually be there. We were there listening to their stories and they felt like they mattered. It made the people see that we're not just academics, we're sitting in the office, writing papers, masters and all of that. That the University of the Free State cares about the people. My day in Jagersfontein showed me that's the kind of social worker that I want to be one day.